For more information on my programs, please visit masajadi.com. That's MASSAJADY.com. Hello, this is Masati. Welcome to my podcast, Xponential Intelligence. This is part of a series called Live Conversations with Dead People, where I interview or tap into the consciousness of those fantastic individuals that have, say, transformed the world. And today's guest is Michael Jackson. So Michael, or your consciousness, welcome. As a note, it may sound strange to those individuals, especially like scientists who go, well, that's fake. How can you tap into to a dead individual, so on. For us to understand the realities, okay, or for science to understand the realities, okay, that they know little about, is, and they should study more, is that there are frequencies. These frequencies, just like energy, never fade, never get deleted. It's always around us. Okay? It's a resonance that's around us. Let's call this a consciousness. Okay? It's a bubble of consciousness that, for example, you are a bubble of consciousness of your identity. That consciousness, when you die, that consciousness exists in some realm, say cloud storage somewhere out in the ethers. So if you have the abilities to access that consciousness, you could read somebody's files. Again, just like like cloud storage or disk drives, right? We have files of everything. And in this universe, literally everything is recorded. Okay? Even down to a leaf dropping in fall. It's that precise. At some level, the acts, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions of everything that's happened in this universe has been recorded somewhere. Okay? When I had my second near-death, my first near-death, there's a life review. Many of you heard of a life review. Imagine having a life review, and when I experienced that, I lived my whole life. It's not a review. You're not like sitting there and reviewing it with an angel or saint. You literally live your life from point A to your point of death, and you experience it though from a different, say, consciousness, a much higher consciousness to understand why the things that happen to you to a higher level, so you can grow and expand from it. The intriguing aspect about it is that how did I access and relive my whole entire life? Obviously, time is distorted because for me at the time it was about 22 years. It was condensed down to, I don't know, maybe a few seconds, maybe a few minutes. Can't quite tell because it was an autonomous zone as I separated from my body. But the important thing is that at that level, obviously no time, no space, but where was everything held? Where was it recorded that I could relive it, re-experience it in such, say, high definition? When people, a ton of people, actually, they report, right, having dream states of what happened in their lineage. It's the same thing. They tap into, say, a certain consciousness unknowingly, and they relive somebody else's lives, so they can experience whatever happened to, say, their great grandparents, in a war or something like that, or they even experience, say, their great grandparents died in a war or famine or something like that, and then they elicit somebody who would experience a famine or war or something, although in their generation they've never experienced war, they've never seen war, they've never experienced famine. So why does that happen? Again, they go into, say, a recording, some record, it's stored in there, and then they access it again unknowingly. So with all those, say, case studies, there's something obviously out there, right, that we don't know about. Okay? And the fallacies of science, well, if it's out there, then show me the proof. Well, that's what science is about. Going out there and wondering about the wonders of the universe, and then creating studies. That's why you're called scientists, right? Creating studies to prove the phenomena that's out there, not disproving it. So at least that's what great scientists do. Like Einstein or Tesla and so on. So the way these abilities work is that there's a consciousness that exists in a timeless space. Again, like a record, a file record. I've been through the gifts, and by the way, everybody has these gifts. Through these gifts that I've honed into an art, literally a science so precise that I've been able to tap into the consciousness of people who've crossed over. Now, I can tap into anybody, living or dead, but it's just more honorable, because for people who've crossed over. So, now that we understand the concepts, and I just want to explain one more before we jump into with Michael Jackson, is that the reason for this is that the importance of this, and this is my mission, that's why I'm bringing this out, is that, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can tap in, and I can help people tap in, whether it's scientists, entrepreneurs, biologists, medical individuals, religious individuals. I can tap into those individuals, say, that have mastered this physical realm through purity or through darkness. That's not the point. The point is that they've opened up that consciousness. Okay? You can always purify that consciousness if it's on the dark side. So again, it's not the point. Most people get hung up on it, on that point alone, and they don't understand, or they won't learn from somebody that has mastered, say, this physical reality, right? Like, say, Tesla. Like I did a podcast on Freddie Mercury, which was a fantastic, eye-opening experience for a lot of people. And quite recently, what's happened is that there's a lot of artists, and this is my passion or contribution, is that there's been a lot of artists coming towards and connecting with me. So how do they do that? It's like, how do I know? Well, it's like memorabilia of these artists will come forward to me, or they start, it's like I start having like a conversation or a dialogue with them. I start listening to their music, like binge listening to their music, like I did Freddie Mercury, now I forgot the name of the band. I listened to like Pink Floyd, and now some other individuals as well that we'll be interviewing, and now Michael Jackson. And the reason for that is that a lot of those individuals, Prince, Prince, the reason for that is that as this wave of consciousness comes through, kind of clarifies, right? Creates efficiencies, right? Some of the darkness, the heaviness that these individuals have gone through doesn't have to happen anymore. Most of these individuals, quote unquote, have sold their souls at some level. Right? Even I believe, even like Bob Dylan, or was it Eric Clapton? One of the two. Okay, so again, I'm not going to research right now, but you can do the research. One of them, and a lot of them, but they specifically said, it's like, I sold my soul to the devil. That shit really happens, and I'm not going to explain what the devil is here, but it's not like what we think. But there is a consciousness. I'll give you a brief explanation. There is a consciousness out there, right? That needs your energy, your frequency to thrive. So what they do is that they'll give you anything that you need, stardom, fame, fortune, whatever you need in this physical realm, because they know that it's only, say, 1% of what's really the bigger picture, the 99%. They're really interested at the 99%. Again, your spirit, or that timeless being, that energy, what I call your vital force. okay, that runs this reality. It's like the battery, okay, not just the battery, but the blueprint, okay, and everything within it. So that vital force, just one of you, is worth, say, all the wealth of this reality. Okay? Because all the wealth of this reality is only 1% of the consciousness. And it really parallels what scientists talk about, that, if you compressed everything, all the density, right, the Earth, the planets, and so on like that, of this universe, it would just come up to, say, 1% of what's really out there. Okay? So, and that's how, again, I'm not going to go into complete details on, say, how darkness works, but the dark side needs other individuals, say, frequencies, just like they do here, right? There's people that just, that crave other people's energy. They want to control other people's energy, right? Because it gives them sustenance. It's not even about the money or the power or anything like that. They just want to control people so they can suck the life out of them. Well, the same shit happens. It's just on another frequency level without the physical form. Okay? Anyway, these musicians are coming forward, and they're going, you know what? We don't have to sell our soul anymore to create beautiful music. In the modeling industry, in the acting industry, there doesn't have to be people, that abuse women. I forgot the guy's name again. Sorry, but you know who I'm talking about. And again, I don't prepare for this. It's just a download that comes through. I'll get the name later. But that form of, say, selling your soul to create stardom, wealth, great music, it does not have to happen. Now that these individuals have awakened at some point on the other side, it's like, holy shit. And this is about, again, the purity. The reason why they awaken is this wave of consciousness comes through, and they start to see. Many of them awaken before they die, and they try to get out of, say, the situation or the contract that they sign. Right? Say, like Prince, or in this case, Freddie, or tonight, what we're going to be talking to is Michael Jackson as his presence comes around. So, again, it's not the personality of Michael Jackson, but the consciousness of Michael Jackson. And what's cool about this is that, say, there's individuals who have fantastic talent. What if I could help you, say, tap into the consciousness of, say, that creative aspect of Michael Jackson? That's what he did. He tapped into a consciousness. Everything that you do, say, success patterns, abuse patterns, whatever that you want to call success, abuse, or whatever that you want to call life, there's a consciousness, or in today's world, there's an app for it. Okay? Obviously, you'd have to be at a certain level to, say, purchase that app or, connect to that consciousness. Right? If you're resonating at the same frequency as that consciousness is, you can delve into it. Again, that's where great ideas, fantastic inventions, and so on. That's what Einstein did, Tesla did, and all those great, scientists, astronomers, and medical individuals, and entrepreneurs, musicians in this case. Right? It's really that simple. It does take work to do that. I'm not saying it's just like you tap into a consciousness and overnight you're a success, but it doesn't happen that way, where overnight, compared to most individuals, they're an overnight success. Why does that happen? Because they resonate at the same frequency. That consciousness becomes them. They embody the consciousness. Obviously, there's a price that they have to pay for it, and that's what we're going to be talking about in Michael Jackson's situation. But you don't have to pay that price. You can tap into that consciousness for free, and that consciousness will expand and enhance you. So that's what these artists are coming about. That's what they're talking about. It's like, hey, Moss, let's wake up the world. And it's not just me, it's other individuals that are, say, bringing in or pioneering this new consciousness. It's like, hey, why don't we help the music industry come into a paradigm where you don't have to sell your soul, but you can create unbelievable, fantastic music from the brilliant side. Just as fantastic, just as deep, just as emotional. Okay? So that is my mission. So with that, let's just invite Michael Jackson, the consciousness that he tapped to, and then also say the personality of Michael Jackson. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments. Okay, I'm going to skip through. It's a long letter, and then we're going to jump into the questions. But he highlights a lot of good things. So, and this was from one of the listeners, my listeners. Just give me a second. So how I do this is that, again, it's literally like summoning or accessing, just like log files or files on your computer, right? I have to go through that universal database, that universal knowledge base, and then find where that consciousness of Michael Jackson would be stored. I had it and then kind of disappeared. So just give me a second. There we go. All right. So Michael Jackson comes into, and this is somebody that had written in on suggesting that I should do a segment on Michael Jackson and what really happened. Right? Michael Jackson comes into my mind, and the incredible light he was, but so abused and destroyed by bullies and other haters. And I would appreciate to hear a conversation with his consciousness one day on a podcast. So whoever wrote this, here you are. And here's part of these questions. I'm just going to skim through them and then go back and have Michael's consciousness and his family answer it. Okay. By the way, my abilities, I can tap into anybody, dead or alive, like I said before, and then just go through, say, your life review, right, wherever that's stored, and then see what happened and look at it from an analyst's perspective. This one is, I just finished watching this documentary on Michael Jackson featuring James Safechuck and Wade Robson, both of whom claim in disturbing detail how they were sexually abused by Michael for years. Like a cult, the doc outlines the process of seduction, manipulation, idolization, then ultimately abuse. As Moss outlines in some of the abuse series Q&A calls I listen to. So what they're talking about is this fantastic abuse series. If you've been abused, by the way, it doesn't take 20, 30, 40 years to, say, recover from that abuse. Listen to the abuse series, and within a very short time, like thousands of people who've listened to it, they start to recover. They actually recover and move on with their lives. So very powerful. So we're going to be talking about that. Did he really sexually abuse kids, and more to find out, say, what I see as truth from that consciousness, and perhaps why, say, Michael Jackson did some of the things that he did. And again, it's not my perception of it. It's just that I'm tapping into, well, his life records, if you will, and then reading that for you. Okay. Some of the people Here you go. Was that ethical? Yes, it's ethical because I'm not using it to destroy, disturb. I'm using it to, say, bring out the truth. Okay? And two, if I can read it, that means it's ethical because you would have to have enough honor or enough trust for those files or records to be open to you. Now, if you couldn't be trusted, you couldn't be at the levels of my abilities. Okay? It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Say I did use it for abusing somebody or manipulating somebody, something to that effect. What would happen is that the abilities that I would have just would drop down dramatically. It's just that simple. It's like a jury judge sentence immediately. Okay? It's not like later on. It's just that you lose your abilities. Okay, so for me to be at such high frequencies and access anybody's files, no matter who it is, you would have to have, say, great honor or trust or purity. So basically, no judgment as you read these files, or as I read these files. There's no judgment on my part. I want to ask you, how many of you, if you knew somebody's deepest, darkest secrets, some of the stuff that they don't even know, what would you do with them? How would you use them? How would it affect the way you treat those individuals? Probably very different. If you can get to a point where there's no judgment and you know all that shit about people, and you can treat that individual the same way as you didn't, that's when you know you're at a good level. Okay? So with that in mind, let's jump into the questions. And maybe that piece should have been another podcast in itself. So here we go, Michael. Thanks for being here. Did Michael sell his soul for fame? Michael didn't sell his soul for fame. However, his family did. His family did. Yeah, so just kind of tapping in. Just give me a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 generations from Michael. Yeah, 6 generations from Michael back. That's when somebody literally started to pray night after night after night. Night after night after night, they prayed. Okay? Almost like out in the woods or something like that from what I'm seeing. Or they could have been a little, say, tipsy or inebriated or on drugs or something like that. Something to that effect, some altered state. Okay? And again, it's like, somebody help me, and then boom, somebody came in. It's happened a lot to, well, that's how the Kennedys did it. That's how a lot of, unfortunately, wealthy, powerful individuals did. They prayed, and then all of a sudden something did just come in. And at that level where there is so much ego and so much greed or so much, say, strife, right? And then there's that brilliance of light that comes in. You think it's like God or somebody that's going to save you. And they do save you, but they charge you a hell of a lot of money. They charge you your spirit. So, and then what happens, say, if you sell your soul, right? Like in Michael Jackson's family, like 5 generations on up, maybe 6. If you sell your soul, that somebody, say, signed a contract. It's like, yes, I'll give you fortune and fame. All you have to do is sign this dotted line, and we just want a piece of your spirit. Not even the whole thing. We'll just take his piece, and it's a simple trade-off, because the spirit is so ethereal. You don't think it's real, right? Until later on. So we do the exchange, and whoever is going to give you the fortune and fame, they know it's a damn good deal. Because again, like what I said, just an ounce, say, of your spirit is worth pretty much everything in this world. That's how much power you have, but nobody knows it. So, although the world is finding out. So 6 generations up, and it got, and you can verify this, by the way, especially if you're a Jackson, from that generation, from that moment on, just strange, weird shit happened. Just crazy stuff happened. Again, kind of like Kennedy's or some of the other people. Strange deaths start to happen. Mental instability starts to happen from what I'm seeing on down and jumping into, say, Michael. So those kids already, say, possessed or controlled at some level. I hate to say it that way, but that's what happens. The father being a little possessed, almost double personality or multiple, one, two, three, well, three types of personalities in him. So, and again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I see multiple or split type personalities from a different perspective. In this scenario, Michael's father, literally three different people in one, so in one body. So what happens is that there's Michael's father, very nurturing, very embracing, very, like, say, a good father, not a perfect father, but a good father. And then he splits into this other, and that's more of a, say, strict discipline, say, sergeant type father. Okay, getting things done, doing things properly, in a nurturing way, not like corporal punishment, in anything like that. And then the other personality was just like out and out, just rage, destruction. Again, very wicked, I guess you could say, and a female, so a feminine type personality coming in. So, and kids see that. Many of you probably grew up not knowing what the hell happened to your parents, but especially if they got drunk, right? And just to relate some of the experiences, you're a kid, you look at your parents, and then, okay, that's my parent, and then they get fucked up, right? They drink or they do something, they're under tension, and you look at them again, it's like, that looks like my parent, but why doesn't it feel like my parent? Because something else just jumped in, right? You might not know what the hell happened, but that's what the hell happened. So in Michael's case, that's what happened. So, and that's why, you have all aspects. So he was kind of lucky because he had the nurturing side, he had the disciplinary side, and then unfortunately he had this raging, I guess you could call it a raging bitch, in a man's body. Okay, simple as that. And that's the destructive side, or the abuse, the pattern. And not just towards Michael, but just towards Michael's mother, from what I'm seeing, and obviously some of the other kids. But Michael probably got the brunt of it because Michael had a brilliance in him. Okay? And that's what usually happens. And many of you who are, say, more connected or softer, right? You shine brighter, where you're the anchor for those individuals. They want to say you're that MVP spirit. And you're worth a lot more because you shine really bright. You're more awakened at some level. Okay? So what happens? Well, people start to use you. They start to abuse you. I mean, look at some of your lives, right? You've always been that anchored person, but you think you're the weak individual. But in fact, the people around you have been weak, and they just erode you and seduce you, where they can just like step on you and use you and suck the life out of you. Right? Same thing happened to Michael. So getting back to Michael, throughout his years, he starts to see that, shit's not right. But, you're a little kid. What do? So you escape into that brilliance that you are. That's how Michael sees it. Again, the brilliance that you are. You escape. You almost like, say, hide in a closet from Michael's experiences, or hiding in places, small places where you just feel safe, so he can connect to his higher self, or his, say, spirit. Almost his spirit's more, say, pulled away. Because he's not, it's like, I didn't sign up for this. What the hell's going on? But again, a bright spirit in a family that's basically signed their soul off. Okay, so then as he grows up, obviously there's no childhood, there's no affection. So it seems like Michael would go to bed, say alone, kind of curled up in a fetal position, or maybe not even in bed, but maybe somewhere in a corner, somewhere in the closet or something, from what I'm seeing. Right? Again, very distorted. And just wondering, it's like, I thought this reality was about love and connection and affection and nurturing and so on, but it's not the reality that I'm seeing. Okay, and if it was, that nurturing aspect of his dad would only be a smidgen, so to only get, say, a smattering of it. It's like, God, I know it exists somewhere, but why am I not feeling it all the time? Why is these other situations happening to me? Michael's mother, kind of a standard by, or just doesn't seem like, she kind of just feels like she just gets, say, pushed around, so to speak, or an aid to the father. So whatever the father felt, she would just be like right in there promoting whatever. Say abuse patterns, the mother would abuse the same way, right? Kind of like a gang type mentality. So that's pretty much Michael Jackson's life. And as he grew, again, through the discipline of his father, but then again the rage, and then the great creation, right, of his, say, higher self, higher spirit, from a pure side, say, coming together, blending together, hence you would have, say, Michael Jackson's success. So you get, and he did a fantastic job by staying stable, because many of you, say, with less pressure, got crushed, got destroyed. So, so that was his life. So, so as he, say, grew into, young adulthood, not exactly knowing himself. Okay? Because if you're in an altered state, I mean, you would have to be, because, well, say, especially your father, the dominating force, he's in three different realities. So when you look at a person like that, they're just going, they're just not congruent. And they're my parents, so they should know what I should be doing. So what do? You get, say, disconnected from time and space, right? So you start not identifying or not defining who you are. Hence, all the situations and some of the surgeries and makeovers and whatever else that Michael went through, because he was literally trying to find his identity. And obviously, the physical transformations, it doesn't work, because you're disconnected from time and space. Nothing that you do physical will work, right, Michael? Yeah. So he's giving me the thumbs up. So, and Michael, just jump in if I'm missing it or I'm saying it wrong. He's saying that his sisters were really a strong force for him. Not so much his brothers. His brothers, he's saying that didn't really, they were more feminine as well. It seems like all of them. So it didn't really help Michael to stay stable, because look, you're a guy and you have female frequencies. Now, there's nothing wrong with being gay or lesbian or anything like that, because literally your chromosomes are different. Okay? But many of those individuals, and even heterosexuals, they don't embrace who they are. They don't embrace their sexuality. So it doesn't matter whether you're heterosexual, bi, gay. So what I'm saying about this, that's a chemical design. That's a DNA design for you. Okay? But for example, Michael's brothers, more of a a female dominant frequency. So again, the father, again, the feminine, that one aspect of him, the third of him was that, let's just call it a psycho bitch personality. The mother would be more of a masculine frequency, just, say, promoting whatever the psycho bitch proclaimed, I guess, or announced. So it's kind of like a family circus. So the males in that family would run a feminine frequency, although they're not, say, gay or anything. The females would run from a scared female frequency. So, but again, they're female and they're running a female frequency, although fearful. So Michael would identify, because the females, right, the sisters would be, say, more in sync with themselves, or basically more in time, right? So, which is really quite, so with Michael, he sees that, it's like, oh, they're anchored in time, they feel more solid to me, so it solidifies them. Is that good? Yeah. Yeah. So, hence, Michael, he's a guy. And having distorted feminine frequencies and obviously having distorted masculine frequencies, he kind of goes in the middle and he just doesn't, say, identify who he is. Imagine this. Ducks. And I know this sounds weird. Chicks, right? Small baby ducks, right? Ducklings, right? They do imprinting. Ducks, chicks, they do imprinting. So if the chick, gets hatched, and I don't know the time frame, but say you're the first thing that they see, what do they think? Boom, you're their mother. A guy, a cow, I don't know, alligator, whatever. You're their mother. They would follow you. Okay, human babies, not that printable, not imprintable. However, you do copy patterns of who you're around, who raises you, because that's who you trust. So you become like them. Unfortunately, again, not a strong masculine figure, and then a very awkward, I would say awkward, insecure, feminine figure. I'm not going to talk about Janet Jackson or any of those individuals, but again, personal lives, I think you would see that they would be, say, insecure or awkward in their personal life, although they might have a grand persona. Anyway, back to Michael. So he doesn't identify with who or what he is. So again, the changes and so on, but he knows he's a guy. So hence relationships obviously don't work out well. So that's the say the general theme of Michael. Anything else? So we'll go on with the questions. So we talked about the dark lineage that he was born from. What was it? We talked about his childhood. Did he have inappropriate sexual relationships with children? No. And I'll explain that. But we'll go through some other experiences or questions first, and then we'll come back to that to kind of like fill in the picture on why. Okay. And then some of the proof that's out there on the documentaries and so on. So this is a question towards Michael. When you look back to your life and to Michael Jackson, how do you see yourself as an embodiment of him and your life from your actual perspective? So basically, I think what the question is asking you, Michael, is that now that you're awakened, and maybe through, again, your awakening process, and then, as you come to me, is helping you awaken even more, how do you see the embodiment of Michael Jackson? So, well, one, I would have never had a childhood like I did. I would have never picked the parents that I did, because you don't need to, like you said, Moss, sell your soul to have, say, fantastic music. And it's not about selling your soul to have the fantastic, say, music or fantastic abilities. I would have had that before, because I was born in a state of brilliance somehow. And how does that happen, Michael? Just to help me out. Okay. So say somebody and say somebody sells their soul, like say, Michael's family, right, 6 generations up. What happens is that there's a mirror image, because if you're on a dark side at a high level, right, say level 9 or 10, and again, I'm just throwing numbers out for clarity. It doesn't mean a thing. Okay, it's not like 9 out of 10, or it could be a 9 out of 1,000, a million, whatever. Again, just throwing numbers. 9 on the dark side, right? So in this case, severely dark. What would happen is that you're born in on the dark side, but you get to see the reflection, the opposite of the light side, the brilliance, right? So as, say, spirits come into form, right, human identity, or what I call time stamped in this reality, there's like spirits awaken to the point. It's like, hey, I don't want that dark shit. I want to be in that brilliant side. I want to be the brilliant side of this space, not the dark side. And that's like Michael Jackson's personality, right? So it's like, hey, he makes choices. So again, awakened being picking on the bright side, but then unfortunately, you can't be dark or light and sustain reality here, because you would go mentally unstable or emotionally unstable. You would have to, and this is what I teach individuals through EI, Exponential Intelligence, hence the name of this podcast. You'd have to be in the center and master both. So both sides like equal each other. Okay, and that's how, say, light and dark, or heat and cold, and so on. And that's the harmony of nature, right? If you look at nature, it's perfectly balanced between light and dark, hot, cold, and every other extremes or opposites. Okay? In human patterns or human instances, it doesn't fucking work that way. It just doesn't, because we have free will. We can distort. So we have to, say, create that harmony ourselves. So that may be a little too much detail. So anyway, Michael comes in through this space. Doing good? Yeah. Comes in through this space, right? On the brilliant side. He comes into, embodies human form. Again, brilliant side in a dark environment. And you might think that's unusual. It's not. This is where a lot of families, again, who have sold their soul, again, a lot of fame, and I'm not saying all families who are wealthy or in power, sell their soul to come into that. There's individuals who do it, the right way, mastering, again, both light and dark. But for the families who did, you will see that there's brilliance in some of those kids or offsprings, right? But then they're drowning in darkness. Okay? That's where they're highly intelligent, highly inventive, highly, engaging, but then also addicted to drugs, addicted to so on, not murderous, but suicidal. Actually, some people murderous, because they can't balance or harmonize here. So in Michael's case, he did a fantastic job balancing that out, right? Kind of, well, as best as he could. And then again, seeing that brilliance. So what he's telling me is that the way he would have done it different was, well, probably would have chosen another family, and then also understanding how frequencies work, or how brilliance and darkness works. He would have chosen the middle lane, to be balanced or harmonized. So from an actual perspective, so that's the basis, or that's a thesis. So if you can imagine Michael Jackson's ability, and this is what he's getting at, right? Yeah. If you can imagine Michael Jackson's abilities, right, centered, balanced, harmonious, without the distortions of both light and dark, that music would even be more influential, although it's very influential. It would be an enhancing, influential, say, experience for you, right? Obviously, the life history or the distortion that he went through, the marriages, all the garbage. Obviously, he probably still have haters, because haters, even, I call it unstable, right? you're going to have haters as you become successful. So, again, like me, so they'll still be there to bring down, the light. So, anything else? What would you do different now if you would be the Michael Jackson of your lifetime? So, kind of went over the differences, right? Yeah, right, Michael. Yeah, I think one major difference would be that he would have had a stable childhood. So a lot of the things that he did was to say rectify his lack of childhood experiences. So I think he would have spent more time going beyond, rectifying or healing his inner pain or inner hurt. And we're going to be talking about that. I know you're all waiting for that. He's going to be he wouldn't have to say spend time or basically his whole life trying to balance or heal from what happened. What he would have perpetuated even past, say, the genius that he was, and helped kids, kids, society, and so on in a very, very different way. So say he, reached a level 10. Say so. Again, it's from a healing space, right? A reconditioning, reclaiming space. So in this new format, he would have gone beyond level 10. Because he didn't have to expend all that energy. He would have gone way past. So magnifying his abilities even more. By the way, there's only a certain limit when you sell your soul, whether you did it at a personal level or your family lineage. There's only a certain level of greatness or success that you can reach. Right? That's limited to the material world. Okay? If you really want true power, true greatness, and this is where government people, people of power, and so on that rule the world, they think they're so great, but they're so minimal because they can only reach so far. They're limited. There's a cap on them, and as they say hold world power, well, that cap that they have really starts to bug the shit out of them because they start to see, say, the grandness that's beyond that cap. And now they've already sold, they've given everything, buying what they have. And it's like, crap, this is like worthless. I want more. And they get greedy and they want more control, but it doesn't work. You see a lot of artists, you see a lot of, again, people of wealth, people who say control the world. They're going to get more and more and more into that space where they go, shit, I sold myself for very cheap. Because again, this purity wave comes through, right? It filters out. You get to see basically the goods that you bought. And whether you're at high levels, like world power, or at a personal level, you get to see what you sold yourself for. So, and again, almost everybody looks at what they bought in reality, the actual price, as that veil peels away, and they go, damn, wasn't worth it. Let's move on with Michael here. How could you deal with incredible pressure? Michael, he's saying the incredible pressure. What incredible pressure? The incredible pressure was about sustaining, say, a balance or harmony with who I was on the internal. So when I was on stage, or when I was in, say, stardom, that was an escape from who I was. That was the brilliance that came through without the darkness of the family. That was my own, say, original brilliance that came through. So that was my way of, say, having a double identity. Okay, so when he was on stage, when I was on stage, that was my real potential coming out, and if I could stay in that space. But obviously, how would you put it? Okay, say that somebody controls you, right? Say human trafficking, or you're in somebody's control. Okay, and you're in private. They can do whatever they want to you. Right? They can do whatever. They can abuse you. They can distort you. They can, mentally destabilize you, like they did Michael. But if you escape into the public, right, they sit back and be, say, a kind, loving person. Or a nurturing person. Happens a lot in many relationships, right? Behind closed doors, abusive, drunk, attacking, and then, outside, right? Parties, family get-togethers, and so on. They're the best couple ever. You've seen that hundreds, millions of times. Same thing here, but again, that perpetrator is not only, say, the family structure, but then also, say, the distortions or the darkness that surrounds, individuals like Michael. So again, when he's on stage, so he wishes he could be like forever on stage. So that's the difference. The pressure again is not being with the fans, not writing songs, not that was escape. That was like free time for him. The real pressure was being, I guess, what you call. He doesn't want to even call it himself because that wasn't himself. His abused self. How do you see your abusers, perpetrators, bullies, and haters, and which message would you love to forward to them? So the abusers, perpetrators, bullies, haters. He says most of the things were not true. Okay? There was a lot of, and we're going to get into that deeper. There's a lot of instances where people, would say one word or take a picture of a certain interaction, or and they would skew it, distort it, because that's what news people do. That's what many of you do. He says, right? You would take one word off key or off context, and then say blow it up. Many of you do it in your personal relationships. So being of stardom, being people who despise, despise Michael, people despise stardom, fortune, fame, no matter who they are, no matter how. It's like, oh, we love you, Michael. We love, a lot of the people that's surrounding him, except very few. And I'll try to name some of the few. This producer, he was really kind, from what I'm seeing. Very, 1, 2, 3. So out of all the people that surrounded Michael, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's like 5 key individuals. Right? I'm not going to name names, but I think if those individuals listened, they would know who they are. But there were 5 key individuals that Michael could just trust. So, and his doctor was not one of them. Anyway, all the others just like despised success. Many successful individuals understand that feeling, even within the family. So what he has to say is like, it's not me that you're it's not us. I don't know what. I guess I'm in it as well. Michael, thanks, honey. So it's not us that you're despising. It's just that success in its truer light. Okay, a light from, say, spirit, or the godly light of what success is. What about the reflection of your godly light, as Michael would put it? I would pay the reflection of your pure essence, your vital force. But we'll go with Michael's definition. Your expression of your godly light, say, shown in physical reality, is the success. Okay, although it might be glimmers of it, and not complete. Because of the abuse and so on, you see that you become weak. Your knees buckle. It strains you. It puts the weight of, not of the brilliance of this God present, but the weight of the distortions, the abuse patterns, and all those things that you try to hide yourself within, as it comes, say, into physical existence, you crumble, and it's painful for you to see and feel and experience, and you can't get it out of your head. It destroys you. You hate those people who shine their light upon you. So, it is not us. It's you. So learn from it within. despise yourself, and as you despise yourself, hating yourself for what you've become, you get a chance to say destroy the facade that you've become, and you get to shine your own brilliance. So, wow, quite beautiful, Michael. Thank you. What do you want the world to know about yourself, about your life, about your success, about your mission in life, which brought you on Earth? About yourself. So we'll start yourself. I saw this reality from both sides. I saw this reality from, say, the extreme darkness of who we can be, right? Within my own family, and all the haters and all the darkness of the music world. I saw the extremes of what the music world has done to, sacrifice human spirits, human spirits, souls. Yeah, I call them spirits, souls. To create fortune and fame, which is just, it's almost like he's showing me it's like not even your little pinky's worth of what it's worth. And then he saw the brilliance on the same side. It's like, so my life mission would be to, how can I one, how can I bring in that brilliance, right? And disconnect from the darkness that's got me, that's bound upon me. So that was his life mission. Unfortunately, it was his personal life mission. But obviously, if he would have disconnected from it, it would have created brilliance all around the world. But sometimes, when you create that brilliance, that much brilliance, many people who are, say, in the dark or controlled by the darkness, they don't want that brilliance to come up. Look what happened to Jesus. Look what happened to many individuals, people who cure cancers, people who bring in, say, new technologies for energy. What the hell happened to them? A lot of them, they say they commit suicide, but it's kind of strange that so many people who have cured cancer commit suicide. What the hell is that? So again, look at Aaron Schwartz. The people who bring the truth, literally get crucified, but not this time around. This is a consciousness where people who are bringing the truth have the backing of brilliance behind it, because the whole universe is peeling away that filter. So the darkness, they can't hide. The truth must come out, and that's why we're here. So his life, say, mission was about, say, clarifying, disconnecting from the family values. Again, purifying his not only himself, his existence. So the next lifetime he comes out, or like the downline, like, say, his kids, would be, say, of a pure nature, a much purer nature. What do you want the world to know about your death? It was staged. It was planned. It seemed like, so it was staged. It was planned. It seemed like he had, I knew too much information, and I was an influencer, which would, say, dramatically change individual, people's thoughts, and then the government systems or control sources. They didn't want, say, a lot of the knowledge, or Hollywood didn't want a lot of knowledge to come out. So, like me and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 others that just, say, died suddenly, quote unquote. He's giving me the air quotes. Died suddenly. That's the reason why they died as well. Okay. Well, this kind of reminds me of Aaron Schwartz, right, Michael? Obviously not from the music industry, but look up Aaron Schwartz. His story kind of reminds me of that. how was your dying experience for you? Well, my dying experience was that I was literally overdosed or drugged, and then it was say euphoric experience, as I say, floated out. And as I looked upon, say, my life, there's an immense sadness because there was so much. There, if you can imagine, so much brilliance and so much potential, right? And the opportunity, although many of you would say, "Wow, there's so much brilliance." Michael did so much, and he great, creative, amazing. That was just the minimal portion. Imagine a parachute, just this heavy weight upon my shoulders, pulling me down, and that was the brilliance was just a smidgen. The world wasn't really even ready for, say, the brilliance of just pureness coming through. So I was looking down upon that. You would see your, say, complete life history, like that life review that Moss talked about. But then you go further back, and you get to see within that brilliance, right? Within that brilliance, within that sustenance, Michael. He's telling me that the brilliance that he held inside also would sustain or nourish individuals. So his music, yeah, would literally like enhance or transform individuals. The possibilities, yeah. So not the music that he produced, because that was laced in purity and then in darkness as well, but just pure brilliant. Anyway, he looks down, and there's this immense sadness in him, going, "Oh my God, it was such a waste. It was almost, say, present in the world to bring that out. It almost made it out. It almost, say, could engulf or encapsulate the world, and it didn't." Right? It's just like having such high hopes for somebody, right? You know their brilliance, you know their possibilities, you know their abilities, and then one day, he says, they get run over by a train, and then it's just like a flash, it's gone. And that's the way I see my life, like a flash. That brilliance that somebody brought up to this level, almost to the finishing line, was snuffed out. Just give me a second, guys. We'll move on. What do you want your kids to know about you, and what would you love to tell them if you could? Michael? Well, as I see fatherhood from a higher perspective, obviously not the most, and as Moss is, yeah, anyway, I guess I've taught him a lot. Just note that on the other side, an awakened, say, individual, I'll be by your side. I'll help remove, say, those frequencies that destroyed my life. Help you disconnect or delete those, disconnect or he just wants them removed. So he'll help clean and process those frequencies. So his obligation to you. All right. So you can run your choice of your life choices, not dictated from the distortions of my family or the mother's family. So in its pure state. The love that I have for you all, you could never imagine, you could never feel in physical reality. Because that love does not exist. If I knew the love that existed in this realm, if I could write about the love and the purity, and if I could bring it into the music that I had, that in itself, say, would transform the world. I don't think there could be even music or words or instruments that could relate to the love that's at this level. What is the most essential message you want to tell the world and your fans? One, that I'm innocent. I did not abuse anybody. So it's a good time to, is that okay? Open that up for on why, what they would say, what happened. So let's just talk about that. So many people say that you abused a lot of kids. What would you say to that? No. He's vehemently saying no, shaking his head, actually very hurt on how or why anybody could say that, because he had a very different, very pure intent. Okay? And many of you haters would say, oh, that's bullshit, and so on. And as he reads the haters, there are many individuals that just say despised me, wanted me for the money, are still grappling. They're just like vultures. Just vultures everywhere, just wanting a piece of my estate. And that's all they want. They're vultures. So that's all I keep saying. Vultures just eating away, and they'll do anything. Vultures will do anything to get, that piece. So they would make up lies. They would fabricate everything, and even the two individuals that we talked about earlier, probably getting paid a lot of money, and then. And from my perspective, from me, Moss perspective, when you're getting abused so deeply like that, you don't remember the details. You don't remember the play-by-play. I've worked on thousands and thousands of people who've been abused. Okay? They don't remember the details. Is it in there somewhere? Sure. Sometimes we have to go through hypnotherapy to understand or really, say, pull out what happened. So for these individuals to come out, any of those individuals, the nurses, the maids, the clean, I can't even remember what the fuck I had for lunch the other day. And these people are going in detail, what they did specifically, what they did this day, what they did this day, what they did that hour. That is all bullshit. I mean, go back in your own life, right? No matter how detailed you are, you're not going to remember all those details. Okay? So obviously rehearsed, replayed to be so graphic, so detailed. And again, individuals who get so severely abused, they're in a state of fog. And the main reason why is that they're not connected to their body. They've escaped their body. They just allow their body to get abused. Okay? They do not remember the details. Those people who do remember the details literally see their body from a different perspective, right? Because they're above their body, and they would see it, and still, usually that's a block. Okay? They would never. So the way they answered, because I did see some of the documentaries myself, and I'm going, oh, they're lying. They're lying. It's all predicated. So anyway, that's my point of view, and again, seeing or helping thousands of abuse type victims. So one, that's a myth. Two, well, let's just get to the meat of it, though, Michael. Sleeping with the kids, did you do that? Yes. And that's where it gets fishy from the outside. And Michael's saying, and even I would think, okay, that's kind of strange. Okay. So let him explain. So, when he built, say, Never Never Ranch, Never Never Ranch, it was about creating, say, a space where a kid could be a kid. Actually, where I could be a kid and then heal from the distortions of my past. Okay. And what would happen is that we'd invite kids, and most likely those kids who were abused, okay, at home from some either they were abused or their family ran abusive patterns, okay, would get attracted to me. So again, they never got abused, never, right? They actually got abused outside of their homes. Okay? So and he's telling me, if you study or if you look into those families that accuse me of sexually abusing, molesting their kids, study their family history. You'll see patterns of abuse. That's over and over and over again. Okay? So, and again, that's verifiable, right? Just plain out verifiable, just like anything else I say. And again, that's Michael talking. So when these kids come, they've got abused, right? Abuse attracts abuse, and that's why that attraction happens. And my purpose was to, for several reasons. One, heal those kids, because that's part of my mission, is to, again, never allow other kids to go through, say, the abuse that I did. So my purpose was, again, to heal those kids and heal myself at the same time. Okay? And yes, it does sound a little strange, I'd admit, especially if it's an outside, again, a famous star sleeping with kids. But to my defense, how do I explain? So say you're sleeping with a child, right? Say that child, you're that child's parent. Okay? And you're a solid parent. You don't have any sexual thoughts about your kid, right? For example, me, Moss, I have 6 kids, right? I slept with all my kids, right? In a very respectable manner. And, a lot of parents do. What do? You hold them, you cuddle them, you make them feel safe and secure. In fact, some of the psychologists go, they should never sleep with you. There's no bond between you two. There's no your pheromones, the way they smell, your pheromones, the way they connect with you frequency wise, as they touch you, as you're holding them, all those, say, psychological, emotional value structure that they need, okay, when you don't, say, sleep with your child. Gets distorted, gets abused. Back in the day, when formula came out, doctors were paid to say, mother's breast milk is bad for you. You shouldn't take breast milk. You should take the formula that we've, say, manufactured. And again, it's all garbage. It's just a shit. And they would push that, and they would pay doctors to say that. And again, you can verify that. So that in the same way, for some reason, doctors say, hey, you shouldn't, psychologists, I don't know where the hell they got their information, but again, it doesn't work well. Those kids that don't have that deeper connection, one, there's no connection as they grow. There's no solidness, there's no security, there's no safety, there's no assurance that the parents have their back. Okay? Because that bond was in there. If you look at animals, the way they cuddle up, they curl up, right, within their parents, right? They're not sitting somewhere. They're not sleeping in another den, and the parents are somewhere else. So again, you're breaking that bond. So what Michael was doing at an instinctive nature, correct, Michael? Yeah, is again two aspects of this. One, as he say, nurtures that kid. Okay, he goes back and tries to heal himself. But unfortunately, he's telling me that it didn't work because it just brought nightmares and abuse memories that he's buried so deep. It would bring them back. It's like, why couldn't I just feel, just for, even if it was just for a minute, that embrace, of a loving parent, just for a minute. That's all he wanted. He could. What did he say? Fuck the stardom, the money, the wealth, and stuff. All I wanted was just that peace of mind. That's all he wanted. So on one aspect, he's not. Well, seems like he's breaking down. Anyway, so I'll finish off. On one aspect, again, he wanted to say heal himself, go back in time, and heal and bring back that nurturing, say, space of him, or that nurturing time frame for him. But like you said, it didn't work. And then for those kids, again, who were most likely abused or not paid attention to or shunned or something to that effect, those kids, nurturing them so they could feel, say, what a nurturing environment was about. So hopefully that helped. But now that he's seeing it, unfortunately, it probably didn't help them, because as he was remembering all the distortions, he would literally break down. And it wasn't let's just say it didn't turn out to be a nurturing, say, environment. So with that in play, and you're, say, that distraught, you really don't have concepts or ideas or even wanting to, say, have sexual fantasies and all that garbage. That's put around there. So that was his intent. Okay. Yes, again, it does look funny because it's somebody else's kid. So that he, now that he thinks about it, is like, but if you come from a loving space, sometimes you kind of overlook what seems kosher or not. So I can understand that. But even from my eyes, looking at it, it would look funny. But then again, on the flip side, it's like, why would these parents, no matter who it is, why weren't they there? Not that they were disinvited, but why didn't they hang around? There's plenty of room in this place, Michael was saying. So there you have it. Okay, the truth comes out. Anything else, Michael, about that? Yeah. The maid, again, a lot of falsified information on that. And again, if you look and study how she answers her questions, again, very, very, very rehearsed in the details that people give. Hardly anybody remembers those types of details, maybe spotty here and there, but time frames every day. No, it just doesn't work. More like, again, rehearsed. So let's move on. What is your vision of a world you would love to be in, and what would you say could heal the world from where we are today? That's what it's about. That's what we're talking about. That's what Moss is bringing in. That's where this new consciousness is. And again, guys, it's Michael's saying this. It's not just me. It's individuals. As this purity wave comes through, okay, it's not just this consciousness. It's not just the consciousness of this human reality, okay, or this time frame. It's every layer of consciousness here. This is the dentist, and then beyond into alien realms and all those other frequencies that are out there that exist in this. I don't want to say time frame because there's different definitions of space and time, but in the same multiverse, everything is awakened. So it's a fantastic time to be in. There's going to be pioneers. There's going to be people on my side. And this Michael's saying it, on my side, waking up, right? Like a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, other individuals, other great scientists that are going to be coming forward. That consciousness that we've tapped into is going to be more readily available, not because we've dumbed down the consciousness, but the consciousness of the physical beings that are here below. They've raised themselves to a certain level where that consciousness, again, is more fluid at the same level. So it's going to be a fantastic time. This is where new sounds, new colors, new almost what kind of like Freddie Mercury was saying my last podcast, where our visual field is very limited. It expands, so we get to see even say more amazing, say brilliance or colors, and as that expands, it's not just the visual field, the audible field, the emotional field comes through. Not that we'll have more emotions, but the emotional field would be, say, pure. So what that would mean, what he says, is that love would be of a pure, say, blossoming state. Hate, you would still have that emotion, Michael. Yeah, you would have that emotion, but it would feel brilliant to you. It would feel exhilarating to you. You would still, again, feel hatred towards somebody, okay? But at a deeper level, that hatred, for example, and I know it sounds weird, that hatred would awaken you. It would awaken that person to go to higher forms. It would not destroy that person, he's saying. So when you get into an argument, anger and so on, it would propel you. Like, this is great, Michael, thanks. Thanks for verifying that for me. Because I call them EI emotions. Right? EI definition of anger, EI definition of hate, jealousy, and so on like that. Where an emotion, especially the dark ones, is used to propel you, catapult you even higher, and not destroying the others. Not destroying the other party of concern, but elevating yourself, which elevates them as well. Okay, so again, a pure level of emotion to harmonize even more and more and more, and again coming into, say, a oneness of the world that we could never have here. Yes, we are the world. We're all one. At the level that. And this is, again, Michael talking, at the level that we're at, we cannot be one because there's so much hatred, there's so much distortion. Do you want to explain more about that, Michael? Sure. So, quite beautiful, actually. So, let me see if I can put it in Michael's words. There might be some of my words, Michael's words, but right? Yeah. So, how do we start? So the best way, if you look at nature, everything is of a brilliance. The brilliance comes from being in the moment. Okay, you get to see the beauty of the moment. You get to be in awe. So everything in nature is in awe of this reality. And this is Michael's words. He's in awe, say, of the reality that's created here, because again, he gets to see this from even a higher version than nature's, because we're of a higher consciousness, right? We have free will. However, when things, whether it's a plant, animal, they're in that brilliance because they know who they are at 100%. However, they're entangled with everything else around it. So they're aware of everything else that's there. But then they're so complete within themselves that they define themselves at the same time. If they didn't, since everything's a frequency, they would just merge into one. Right? So say, for example, and this is my words, just to help you out, say you have an image. It's blurry. Okay? If you couldn't define yourself, say as a fawn or a deer, right? Everything would be blurry. Everything would be merged into one. But as you put that, say, image in focus, everything becomes clear. Right? It's kind of like that. In humans, because we're so inept, we're so incomplete, we are always stabbing one another in the back, especially in the music industry, or I guess any other industry where money comes into. So, Michael, you gotta clarify that. So, money is not the root of evil. Okay, I'll clarify. So, the definition of money on how we see it in this plane is the root of all evil. Money is actually a spiritual symbol. Okay? What it's turned out to be, just like all spiritual symbols of high order, has turned into bloodshed. Okay? Look at religion. So in order for people to stay here and be complete and feel like we're something, we have to attack each other. We have to despise each other. We have to hate each other. And the love that we feel is not love. The love that people feel is an envy or jealousy or insecurity that we have to fulfill within ourselves. I know that because I've felt that deep inside. I've seen the love that's out there from the brilliance that had attached, that was part of me, but I could never enjoy it completely, so I despised the love that I had for people here because it was tainted with blood. So, just to help clarify Michael's thoughts, so what happens is, if I'm getting this right, Michael, is that for people to define themselves, they have to destroy somebody else around them, even if you love that person. Sounds kind of strange, right? Yeah. So at some level, you're degrading somebody else to clear definition, a pure definition of you. Say that you're drowning. Even if you love somebody, what do? You're drowning. No matter how you love them, you'll be grappling all over them. You'll just pull them down. Right? It's not about love. It's not trust. It's not honor. Nothing like that. When you're getting, say, disconnected, dying, okay, from your essence here, you will do anything to stay here. Again, you're drowning. There's a loved one next to you trying to save you. It's happened. It's not a theory. They'll pull that person down. Doesn't matter. So, in a nutshell, People are drowning here. They can't define themselves. They can't sustain themselves. So they're always clamoring. They're reaching out. They're always pulling things down, whether it's money, whether it's success, whatever it is. Their kids, which is disgusting. Their kids pulling them down to sustain, say, their level where they can breathe here. So what he likes to see, and this is the mission or my contribution, the contribution that I'm pushing in is again, we get help from all over the consciousness. This mission that we have is to create, it's an expedition to create a whole new, say, frontier where this stuff doesn't happen. You know who you are at a high level. You don't have to pull anybody down to save your ass. Simple as that. What is true success for you? Saying must pretty much define that. Yeah, I pretty much define that. Finding a consciousness where we don't have to drag anybody down, where everybody can see each other's brilliance and then applaud for that brilliance and then push them even forward, even grander. You don't have to say you don't have to destroy somebody else's brilliance to make you feel brilliant. So in completeness, and then bringing in the love that I feel here that I knew when I was alive, because I could feel it, I could never touch it. I never experienced it. I know it was there, and it was more torturous for me to see it, feel it, smell it, and almost be it. But then it was, I couldn't grasp that. So bringing that state that I now feel, and even grander, into the consciousness, or into this reality. And true success. And then how would you define true success? Again, same definition. So anything else as we end, Michael? It was a fantastic pleasure, again, tapping in to your, say, personal frequency, and then also the consciousness of your fantastic talent. So one thing you'd like to say is that just like children, any masterpiece that is created by artists who get awakened, just like your family lineage, just like what I was saying to my kids, my music, my work is like my kids. It holds my frequency, my genetic code, and it's fluid. Right? It's fluid. Yeah, it's fluid. So as I awaken, the consciousness that I, say, arise into, that the consciousness that I am now, will filter through, just like it does my kids. It'll filter through, like I said, with my kids. As I awaken, I get to delete or disconnect at your choice, if you'd like, from my kids, those patterns. In my music, I get to, what happens is, as I transform, you listen to my music, it'll bring in a higher level consciousness. So although it's the same music, you'll see that's a grandness that's within it. As I rise, you listen to my music, you will rise as well. Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for taking the no time to be here. Kind of a joke, because you exist in no time. Get it? And as we end, for the audience, if you have any concepts, ideas, anybody that you want me to tap into, and again, people who have crossed over, okay? Just like you don't want all your personal stuff, when you're alive, right? If it's a learning experience, to be out in public, again, so honor that space. So anybody that's crossed over that you want me to tap into, if it's right, we'll do a podcast on this. If you have any other questions, comments, feedback, write them all into Masei, M-A-S-E-I, at masajati.com. And as we end, notice what you notice. And then notice the details of what you're noticing. For more information on my programs, please visit masajati.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.